Being the man he is and being the person that I try to be, we put everything into it. All our time. In fact, we work 7 days a week, 16 hours a day, and try to make every episode really 1,000%. And eventually it became fairly obvious that we couldn't sustain this pace, the quality, in the time that was left, because we were running out of time, because the showing dates were fast approaching.
The first series of 13 episodes comes to an end. Britain always works in multiples of 13. A second season is considered impossible, but David Tomblin begins to work on a further 4 episodes, going for a 17-episode package which Lew Grade can sell to the American networks. Story editor George Markstein leaves the series, unhappy with the way his initial intention have become McGoohan's ideas. To allow McGoohan to travel to the States to film Ice Station Zebra, one episode, Do Not Forsake Me, Oh My Darling, is filmed without him at all. The final episodes begin. Alexis Kanner, wild character. Birmingham rep to the Royal Court of the Royal Shakespeare Company. Causes a stir in the BBC Softly, Softly as Constable Stone, when he refuses to take it softly, softly, resigns or is given the push. Taken up by David Tomblin, gets the role as the kid in Living in Harmony. Wild character.
Pre-Beretta, pre-Columbo, and I quit, and the ratings went up to 20 million. We were trying to keep it quiet, but it made headlines, questions in the House of Commons, and then the next week after I was gone, it went back at 2 or 3 or 4 million. And after that, no longer after that came The Prisoner, and the difference was like the difference between working in putty or plasticine in a kindergarten and doing the Sistine Chapel. I mean, it was not even in the same world, The Prisoner. The thing about The Prisoner really was that the absolute driving, rebellious, persuasive, trailblazing force of McGoohan enabled us to do things that were many years ahead of their time on television, maybe still are, though I suspect they're becoming more and more relevant. That generation of kids out there now that have no tomorrow, well, what's the difference? There's nowhere to go because we're all going to end up the same way anyway, that kind of nihilism. The thing about Patrick is he loves challenge, he loves competition, and he loves there to be an edge on the set. He hates complacency. So it's quite within his character to send a telegram, which I received 2 weeks before we started filming Living in Harmony, saying, "I'm taking lessons from Sammy Davis Jr. and Steve McQueen on quick draw. Hope you live up to expectations, McGoohan," which made it incumbent upon me to go out and get a 45 Colt pacemaker and practice with the whole deal. And on the day we finally shot it, I'd gotten quite good at it. A lot of bets were being placed around the set among the crew and the stuntman and everybody as to who would outdraw who. But we were both so adept at that time, even though we both drew, only one shot was heard, though both guns went off. And it wasn't until the next day, when the film came back from the lab, that the editor was able to hold it up and count the frames and discovered that I'd got mine out and fired in 9, and Patrick had done his in 11 or 12, about a sixth of a second difference, and then everyone had to pay off. It was very typical of Patrick to do that kind of thing. The thing was in a continuous state of evolution, in a continuous state of flux. Patrick was writing on airplanes and in sets and in the middle of the night and just before the take even, right on the set. But when he had something set, he would hone it and it would stay set and remain precise that way for all takes.
Young man!
Give it to me again.
Don't knock yourself out.
Give me the rest.
Young man.
There's a lot of speculation about who was going to be number 1, so that when The Prisoner finally got upstairs and tore off the mask, in the end, who would number 1 turn out to be? Now, we knew it couldn't be an anticlimax, and we knew, on the other hand, it couldn't be a climax. I mean, who could it really logically be so that we satisfy all these problems? Well, one day I turned to Pat and said, I know. You pull the mask off, and it's Lew Grade.
Because there's nowhere else to go. Who could it be? You know, I wasn't going to ring up Sean or Roger or any of these fellas. I mean, you know, who could it be? I don't know who it could be.
The ending, I think, was in style with the series.
So you can make up your own mind?
Well, I think in a strange way it went back to conversations right at the beginning of the series. In fact, before it started, it may have been after the writing of the first episode, that obviously one needed a conclusion, and one needed to analyse the conclusion before you wrote the series, naturally. And we had a lot of conversations and discussed various possibilities, and over that period of time, all these things sort of went into the mental computer and came out at the other end, not quite as we discussed it, but sort of...
Based on the embryos.
Yeah. So there was an idea. There was an idea before we started, but it wasn't that precise.